So if you spent really any time studying the topic of diet, what is the best diet? What is the most healthiest, life-promoting diet? I'm sure you've seen that there is, firstly, a vast amount of contradicting information, and secondly, a large variety of people reporting positive results from, firstly, contradictory information, and then from all of these different approaches. So how can we really make sense of that, and how can we really simplify the whole conversation, get to the true essence or the roots of the whole thing, so that we can just really completely forget about that conversation and base our decisions and our choices on things that really make sense and are really quite simple and adaptable across a wide variety of lifestyle choices, lifestyle preferences, and habits, etc. So the first major and most impactful thing that really can make any diet work or any diet fail is basically the removal of garbage. Meaning the removal and the complete leaving out of junk foods, things that are basically not even foods and not even really anything that is at all designed or at all appropriate for the body. So things like that would be obviously processed foods and things that really didn't exist before 30 to 50 years ago. Foods and things that were really invented in a lab somewhere, or things that are really just cooked up with leftover ingredients to be able to basically just put out and fill people. These would be things that are completely devoid of nutrition, but very high and very dense in calories. And those are two really easy sort of criteria that you can apply to anything that's called food and see whether or not it's actually food or not. So with just that simple distinction, you automatically can disqualify and completely leave out most of the modern junk that causes most of the problems and causes most of the imbalance most of the time for most people. So the second thing to that would be quality. That is focusing on getting and obtaining the highest quality foods that we're going to consume, whether we are a vegan or a vegetarian or whatever dietary position we might take, omnivore included, meaning whatever we're going to eat, we can make sure that is of the highest quality that we can get based on where we are and based on what we can do in that moment. Because we can always dream of how it could be better and how it could be different. That is just sometimes a limiting belief, because we have to look at where we are and what is the best that we can do based on our budget, based on what's around us. Maybe we are traveling and there's not the best food choices available. Rather than getting all upset and all stressed and worried, oh my God, I'm going to do this or that, just try to figure out what is the best option. What is the best option for me right now? For example, maybe we can go to the grocery market and buy a tomato. Well, we can look at, well, is this even in season? Does this even make sense to eat right now? And then we can look at our options. Maybe we have the GMO underripe green thing that is supposed to be a tomato, or maybe we have the heirloom local variety that is actually a tomato. So in that moment, we can make a choice. Well, what is the better quality? Let's say we're going to consume or purchase an animal product. We can just get some really low quality industrial food complex factory farmed animal product, which is pretty far removed from actually being food and is often just allergenic and irritating for a lot of people. Or we can seek out local, pastured, grass-fed, humanely raised, intelligently raised animals that we might be able to source from local farms or farmers markets or co-ops in our area, that then allows us to bypass the whole industrial food complex, bypass all of the negativity that surrounds that, and support, number one, our local community, and number two, choose a better quality option if that's the direction that we're going to go. So the third thing that can make or break really any dietary approach is the topic and the issue and the approach of eating to specifically and purposely keep our blood sugar balanced for a long period of time. For example, we could wake up in the morning and do what most people do, wake up, don't drink any water, don't, hydrate the body, and then just immediately go for like coffee, immediately go for like donuts or bagels or cereals of some kind, and start our day off like that. And really the consequences of that is basically you're overstimulating the body at a very sensitive part of the day, meaning a time of day when the metabolism is at the highest and the system is its most open. And then we're basically dumping in a bunch of stimulation and a bunch of calories, but no real sustenance to keep the blood sugar balanced for a long period of time. So on the flip side, we could wake up, drink water, rehydrate, appreciate our body in that way. And then secondly, eat a meal that is more appropriate for our blood sugar, meaning something that's a little more balanced with fat and protein. Because metabolically, most people burn protein and fat as their primary fuel source. It's very rare that someone is a predominantly carbohydrate burning person. But when you look at most of the foods that are available, it's just carbs, 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 stimulants, carbs. And maybe a little bit of like fat or protein mixed in, but really the whole thing is completely reversed. Whereas, yeah, carbs are obviously important, but what is the balance? What is the ratio? And what is the impact on our blood sugar? And that's one of the major impacts negatively, or one of the major negative impacts that hurts people, is that they don't necessarily see the correlation between what they eat and then how it affects their blood sugar and then how that makes them feel. All these energy crashes and headaches and migraines and tension and anxiety oftentimes has a lot to do with blood sugar imbalances. So really, just from these first three basic simple criteria, we can really discern and sort of move away from most of the dietary conversation and do something that actually makes sense, do something that's actually adaptable and common sense for most people in most situations. One thing I would add to that could be very supportive and helpful for really anyone is the addition of probiotics in fermented foods. So things like sauerkraut and kimchi and kombucha and yogurts and kefirs and all of these varieties of lacto-fermented foods are incredibly beneficial and helpful for really anyone, regardless of what their current diet looks like or what their current health program is like. Whether it's someone who's been dietary obsessed for like 20 years or someone who's just trying to maybe improve their health or add something that can make them feel better, probiotics is likely the way to go for the impact that it has, firstly on digestion, secondly on our immune system, and thirdly on our body's ability to produce serotonin. Because most people think serotonin is just, oh, it's in the brain, neurotransmitters are all in the brain. The reality is that most of our serotonin and other neurotransmitters are actually formed in the gut. So if we aren't really having good levels of probiotic bacteria, we're not necessarily going to have the immune system that we want, nor the digestive support that we want, nor the neurotransmitter circulation that we really want. So really, just with these four basic things, pretty much anyone can easily navigate the whole dietary thing and really be liberated of this ridiculous trend, mainstream, sort of weird thing that is happening, and it's really been happening for quite a while with diets, where one day this thing is the thing and the next day this thing is the thing, and usually it's just recycling the same old thing, putting a different label on it, getting everyone hyped, creating testimonials and things like that to program people, and everyone's like, oh, this is a thing. In reality, it's just another hamster wheel. It's just really another blockage, keeping a person from accessing common sense and their body's own inherent wisdom. So hopefully that's been helpful. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you soon.